Radio guys, welcome back to the Back to Me podcast. We have another episode here. I'm super excited for you guys to dive into this one. I think it's going to make your life a lot more fun and it's going to help you let go of a lot of things that maybe you've been spending time on that you shouldn't have been spending time on, that haven't been serving you. So, as you saw, the title of today's podcast is Creating Creative Energy. Creating Creative Energy. Okay. And maybe you haven't heard it like that before. And to be honest, I only thought about it recently when I realize how much of our time is spent on commentary and we narrate our life and judgment and different things and we lose creative energy. You might have heard me say before, like we have a full tank of energy every day. And then there's certain things we engage in during the day or we practice, and it's basically like stabbing a hole in a bottle of water and the water leaking out. We're doing that to our energy. We're literally leaking energy all the time. What we want is we want to be creative in life. I think we are built to be creative. I think we are creative people. The creator who created us creatively to be creators. Say that 10 times fast. I think we are most aligned when we are creative, when we are connecting with people, when we have a deep connection. I mean, I've often said we don't need people in our life, but life is better shared. We don't need a person to fulfill us. We shouldn't need someone or something to give us that feeling. But life is better shared. So we are made to create and we are made to connect. And when we have creative energy, we are productive, we produce, we build. This whole life, everything you see around you that's not blue sky, blue ocean, green, or mountains, nature, was created twice, first in the human mind and then in reality, in physical reality. So I want you to have more creative energy. I want you to have that creative spark, because that's when you're most alive. That's when you're lit up. You feel fueled. You feel powerful. You feel imaginative, like a child. That's why we want to be childlike. We don't want to be childish. We want to be childlike. And what's one thing that stands out about a child? They don't have many worries and they have an incredible imagination. And we lose that as we're adults. So really in today's episode, I want to talk about you creating creative energy. Not because maybe unconsciously you have this belief that when it comes, it comes. When the creativity comes, it comes. But when it doesn't come, it doesn't come. But if you can see how I called it creating creative energy, means you're initiating the action, you're instigating the action, you're the intention, you are the ignition, you are the ignition, not the ignition remix. That's also good, but you are the ignition of the creativity. So I come out with random. That's why I love this podcast. I forget how much random things I come out with sometimes. So how can you create creative energy? First step is recognizing it's up to you to create it. That's the first point for you to make a note of, is it's up to me. It's going to be, it's up to me. Okay. And when you realize that and you take that power back, you can't help, when you have that creative energy bubbling inside, you can't help but create. You can't help but get insights and ideas. You can't help but be inspired. You can't help but attract new people, new events, situations into your life. You can't help it, because it's a frequency, it's a vibration, it's an alignment, it's a connection with God, I believe. With the universe, if you're not comfortable with God, you can say it's a connection with the universe, but someone created the universe. So how do you create creative energy? Well, let's give you the first one. First thing is to see clarity. Okay, because even the opposite of all these things are truth, okay, are the cause of the opposite. So when you don't see clarity, you end up in chaos and confusion and uncertainty. And then you don't have creative energy. So chaos, confusion, uncertainty stops creative energy. So when you see clarity, you get creative. So seek clarity, seek to find your truth. We talk a lot on this podcast about finding your truth, but that's an intention, that's a decision. You have to get clarity around your relationships, around your health, around your job, around your business, around your money, around everything. Who are you in this life? Who are you going to be in this world? You have to see clarity. That's the first step to creating creative energy, because when you don't have clarity, you have confusion. And how can you be creative when you're confused? The only time you're creative is when you're thinking clear. That's a lot of the work I do with clients. First is clarity, because then they get to let go of what's not really for them, and then they have more space. As a coach, what we do, I said it to a guy today. I said, the first thing we're going to do, even before I give you the strategies, before I mentor you, before I give you insights, before I put my ideas in your head, First shift that's going to happen for you is I'm going to create space for you to release some of the stuff that's not for you. So when I sit down with a client, I create space for them. They sit down with me for an hour, suddenly they have space and amazing insights come. And they're like, where did that come from? It was always there, but you couldn't see it because it was confusion and uncertainty. There was chaos. So we want to get clarity. Create space means we can find truth. So the first step is for you to seek that truth, seek that clarity. And there is an episode here about falling in love with the truth. The last episode. It's either before this or after this. I haven't decided which I'm going to put out first, but I think I'll put out finding your truth first. And then this one, creating creative energy, because I think the truth is so important. The truth comes first. The truth always comes first. The second one is deeply connected with seeking clarity, and that's to create your vision. The vision is going to keep you in a creative mode, creative state, because the vision is your North Star, and you're going to be magnetized and pulled to that North Star. And if you notice, I'm always looking up when I say that, and that's because our spirit, your true self, your spirit wants to ascend higher and higher. It doesn't want to stay in a low vibrational fear state. It wants ascension. It wants to go higher and higher up. And that's when you feel the best, you feel the lightest. So you have to work on creating your vision. Who am I? Where am I going? What do I want? What's in my heart? What's in my imagination? What is in my heart for my future? What does the best, most awake version of me look like? The most empowered, excited, enthusiastic. What does that version of me look like? That's your vision. How do I serve? Again, coming back to what I said at the start, how do I create? How do I connect? And how do I serve? Contribution. Remember, the secret to greatness is the service of others. So if you can focus on creating something, getting clarity, creating a vision, and then connecting with people as well, connecting to your vision, you're going to be pulled. I mean, life is just going to seem easier because there's such fuel in that. There's movement in that. And that's going to really turn you on, tap you in, light you up. It's going to be amazing. So there are two things to start to create your creative energy. Okay. Creating creative energy. When you do that, you're going to find energy. Energy is going to be like you'll become an alchemist. You're going to create energy out of nothing. There might have been fear there. You're going to turn it into energy. There might have been doubt there. There might have been insecurity. When you have pain, you can turn that pain into power. But again, you need the clarity and you need the vision. The next step is to stop complaining. We're going a different direction now for this one, but you have to stop complaining. I want to give you 3 and 4 together because they're tightly knit as well. They're best friends. Complaining and judging. For you to create creative energy, you cannot be spending time judging others or complaining about how things are. Because when you're in complaining mode, like how creative are you? When you're complaining about the traffic, and I know because I complain about the traffic too, especially in Dubai. Like traffic here is not fun, right? And I have no patience for traffic. So sometimes I catch myself complaining, and I realize in those moments I am not very creative when I am judging the traffic and complaining about the traffic. I'm not thinking of ideas. I'm not thinking of insights. I'm not receiving insights. I'm not thinking of ways to serve my clients better. I'm not thinking of great ideas for the podcast or for YouTube channel or for my next talk with the company or the next keynote I'm giving at an event. I'm not thinking about that when I'm complaining or judging. Okay. Or when I'm judging myself or complaining about myself, about what I've done, what I haven't done, what I could have done better, what I could have said differently. I'm not creative when I'm in those states, when I'm running commentary. Okay. So you have to get more diligent about not tolerating complaining and judging. And we're very, human nature to judge is really human but it's funny. I always say when you put a sword over someone else's head, you're judging them. You're putting a sword over your head automatically because you are in them and they are in you. And everything we see in others is in ourselves, even the things we don't like. And that's why we judge it, because it itches that sensitivity, because we know we have a bit of that in us. But we don't know it consciously, we just know it unconsciously. That's why it bothers us. We resent them because we resent ourselves. So I want you to stop complaining and stop judging. Again, you can't just shift the behavior without shifting the awareness. You have to get the awareness first. You have to start catching yourself first. You have to notice. So tell your partner, tell me every time I complain. Tell me every time you hear me judging. Tell your best friend, tell your partner, tell your coworkers, tell your friends. Help them. Tell your kids if you have kids, because they'll remind you, Mom, stop complaining. Dad, stop complaining, stop judging. Okay, so get some help. If you were my client, I'd be telling you, we don't do that here. We don't judge here. We don't complain here. Okay, we all need to be held accountable. My fiance does a great job of telling me when I'm complaining about the traffic too much. And then I complain about her telling me I'm complaining about the traffic. So that's the first couple. Next is remove people that don't align with that vision you have for your life. Remove people that do not align with your values. Remove people that don't align with your character. Remove people who don't align with your vision of the future you can live in, the future you can create, the family you want, the friends you can have. If they don't align, you have to cut from the root. You have to cut from the root of that. Okay? Sometimes people want to just put a band-aid and block them out temporarily. You have to remove that from the root. You can't afford to be infected by other people's drama. You can't afford to be infected by other people's fears and doubts and insecurities. People who project their bias onto you so that talks you out of your dream before you even start taking action. You might have a dream to run a marathon or to climb a mountain or to get in the best shape of your life. And people say, oh, you don't need to be, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? Or you're going to be an entrepreneur. You're going to invest in a coach or a mentor. You're going to invest in a course to learn about trading. That's a bit risky, isn't it? Well, life is risky. What's risky is not taking risks. That's the biggest risk because you stay the same. Boring. No creative energy, no creativity, no life spark, no childlike imagination. Oh, God help us. I can't think of anything worse. Okay, so when people are around you that don't feed that fuel, that fire, you have to remove them. Disconnect. Some of you are married to them, and that's the challenge. Okay, you wish we had this conversation sooner. But you need to remove them, you need to disassociate, or you need to have a serious conversation. You need to send them to a coach or a therapist. Some can be saved. Some of them you can't save, but some you can be saved. And if you can't save them, they can't be saved, and you can't disconnect. You have to find ways of just protecting your mind from it as best possible, protecting certain topics from it so you don't get talked out of your dreams. Feed your mind with what supports and feeds you and nourishes you, encourages you, and then immerse your spirit so your spirit can evolve and adapt so you can find that fuel to fly high. You need to immerse yourself so you can be elevated because God is with you. The universe is with you. Things happen for you, not to you. Everything is there for you, but you have to align with it. You have to find that current in the ocean. You're in an ocean of uncertainty, and you get in the wrong current, you'll be taken out to sea and it won't be fun. But if you can find the right current, and that's part of the mission here back to me, is how do I get in alignment with the current of the universe, God's current for me, my current. So the current can, you're that lazy river at the theme park and it just takes you around. Now, it requires intention. You still have to drive to the theme park. You still have to put on your swimming trunks and you still have to get into bloody water. So you might say, well, that's a lazy river. I don't have to do anything. You still have to do something. You had to get there in the first place, but at least get there. You can't go in the lazy river if you're at home on the couch. So you have to participate. Remember, we are creative beings. We have to create. We have to initiate. We have to instigate. We have to set an intention to move forward, to get in alignment, to find the current. And if we don't, we're going to be into someone else's current. And guess where they're going to take you? You don't want to know where they're going to take you. They're going to take you to a beach you don't want to be at, full of sharks and litter and awful stuff. The litter is the doubt, and the plastic of that ocean is the doubt and the fear and the insecurity and the jealousy and the envy and the poor health and the poor fitness and the lack of strength and the lack of vision and the lack of character and the lack of values. It's full of I almost said I'm getting better now at not cursing. So remove people who don't align. Are you with me? Next is you have to question the fear and the doubts. You have to question the fear. And if you want to create creative energy, you have to question the beliefs. You cannot just buy into beliefs. Some of you buy into beliefs like it's Black Friday. Look at all these limiting beliefs on sale and you have them for the whole year. Oh my goodness. You have to question them. An unquestioned mind leads to suffering. You have to be willing to question all of those doubts and beliefs. You have to plug out of the fear. You have to stop breathing life into the doubts. You have to cut away all of that nonsense. Just like you have to cut away the people, You have to cut away the fears and the doubts. And you can't just remove the fear and the doubts and create space and leave an empty space. You have to fill that space with vision, with heart, with truth, with people who fuel you and feed you. Okay? You have to fill that space. So you can remember the immersion, you have to immerse yourself. You can't just get rid of a fear and leave an empty space, because guess what's going to come back into that space? The fear. Fear's cousin. Doubt sister. They're all going to come back into that space. You leave that soil empty, you have to plant some seeds there, but there's no room for those doubts and fears to grow. You get what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments if you like what I'm saying here, if it's resonating with you. Next one is you have to borrow belief from other areas. So if you want to create creative energy in a new business, you want to be an entrepreneur, and you don't have the experience, or you don't have the skills, or you don't have the certainty, you have to borrow belief from other people, coaches, mentors, or friends who've walked the path. Or you have to borrow beliefs. If it's just you and you don't have the resources yet to get the support or help, you have to borrow belief from other areas of your life where you have been creative, where you have created. You have to borrow those from those places. You have to lean into that. You have to look and say, oh, I was good there, I was fit then, let me borrow that belief. Or I started this new back then, let me borrow this. You have to have a win book where you collect all your wins. Hashtag win book. And that win book is you go back and you find all these wins and you borrow belief. You say, okay, I'm going to use that one. Oh, I like that. Let me use that one. You stick all these beliefs and eventually you become more confident, more secure. So you can borrow from other people as well, but the best ones are ones you borrow from yourself. That's going to keep the creative juices flowing. That's going to keep the creative energy alive. You have to feed yourself, support yourself with those beliefs. So if you're in great shape, borrow belief from that into the new business. If you're succeeding at work, you're at a high level, people respect you, borrow belief from that, put it into the health and fitness. You've done good in one area, like let's say personally or with friends, you've great friendships, borrow the belief from that and put it into your money. Borrow belief from other areas. This is going to help you keep the creative energy alive. And the last one I want to give you to keep the creative energy alive is to continue to know yourself, to get to know yourself, and to trust yourself. You know, when you get to know yourself, you begin to trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself, you'll start to like yourself. And when you like yourself, you can get closer to loving yourself. And all your problems will be solved if you loved yourself. Because all the things you think you need is because you don't love yourself. So you have to get these things to give you that feeling that they don't give you. And then you realize they don't give it to you, but then you forget they don't give it to you. So you get, oh, maybe that thing. And then the world does a good job of chucking all this shite. See, I knew the shite. I kept it away earlier, but it came out. The shite came out. I did my best to keep it in, but it came out. The world keeps throwing this at you. And maybe that's going to give me the feeling. No, and nothing. The car, the house, the money, the job, the person, the food, the drink, the drugs, the sex, nothing gives you the feeling you're looking for because you have it already. It's just inside. And no one showed you, and the world has done a great job of distracting you, pulling outside of yourself. That's what all Back to Me is. This is your first episode. Go back to the start and listen. That's what everything Back to Me is about. Letting go of all that, getting back to me, back to truth, back to the God in you, back to the truth in you, the spirit in you, letting go of all the illusion. That's what it's about. And when you do that, you start to know yourself. You trust yourself. You like yourself. You love yourself. Then you don't need anything external like that. You can have everything, but you don't need anything. And when you follow that path of alignment and truth, guess what? The world opens up for you. Riches beyond your belief, treasures, miracles. You're focused on magic and there's miracles here for you, but you keep thinking you don't need. So how to create creative energy is get to know yourself. Get to know yourself. And you get to know yourself by questioning things, asking new questions, being curious, like the first point, seeking clarity. Get to know yourself. Then keep your word. Begin to trust yourself. Begin to rely on yourself. So a lot of what I do with clients is making them more self-reliant. That's why then people always say to me after a few months of working together, they say, I'm just moving through the world differently. Yeah, because you don't need anything. You don't need what you thought you used to need. You're way more trust and surrender. You're allowing the world to come to you instead of you trying to go out and get everything. As soon as you try to go get it, you lose it. You have to create an environment where you receive. You have to create a version of you that you can allow yourself to receive. You don't have to go out and get. It's such a shift for me. Like, we don't have to get. We have to remove everything that's in the way so we can allow, so we can receive. And that keeps the creative energy alive because we keep thinking, how can I create creative energy? How can I allow myself to receive more? And you get all these insights and ideas and you do all these things. You take this inspired action and boom, you end up receiving unexpectedly, hashtag receiving unexpectedly. And then before you know it, you're living your absolute dream and you've way less suffering and you've way more peace. And then God is good and life is good and everything's wonderful. And it doesn't mean challenges don't come. It doesn't mean you won't suffer. It doesn't mean life won't happen because life happens when you're alive. But I tell you, you'll handle it much better. It won't hit you like it used to because you'll know yourself. And you'll be in such a creative state all the time. You'll be focused on creative energy. You won't even have to focus. It'll fill you up. It'll come from you. It'll pour out of you, that creative energy. Because the world, the earth is full of creative energy. Look at nature. Look at what nature creates constantly. Nature is in a constant creative state because it's not fucking worrying, excuse my language, worrying about the opinions of others and if it'll work or if it won't work or about what someone said last Tuesday or what someone texted you in the WhatsApp group. The trees don't care. The waves don't care. The wind doesn't care, but you care, but you don't need to. When you get back in alignment, the creativity is in your natural state. And the reason you don't feel creative is because it's covered in crap. Okay. And we want to let go of all that nonsense. And then you will allow yourself to be you. And then you're going to just, energy is going to come from you. It's going to come out of you because we are connected to all of that. And then you're going to be more creative and then you're going to connect more and you're going to contribute more and you're going to serve more and then you're going to be more and then you're going to receive more and then you're going to have more and then you're going to live more. And now we are all living a good life. God bless. This is what we're here for. If you like that episode, let me know. Let me know what one resonated with you the most. Let me know what's your thoughts. What resonated? What's your biggest takeaway from that episode? What are you going to do now? Let me know at Aidan O'Brien Official on Instagram. You can comment here. Come over to the YouTube channel. You can comment there. If you're on YouTube, you can come to Instagram. You can email me. Everything's in the description. I love all of you guys. My only wish for you is that you can start to love yourself, start to know yourself, start to free yourself. Freedom is the mission, ultimate freedom. Nothing else matters. And you already have it. You already are it. You don't need anything or anyone. You just have to get back to you. See you in the next one.